Hello everyone, I am Rahul Solanki and my team includes Jawwad, Ismail and Sagar Waghela. We together are going to present on a research paper whose title is Security Fundamentals Access Control Models. So, why do we choose this paper? As we know, security is a top priority in the world today, irrespective of which world we are talking. Either it could be a cooperative world, or a society, or an individual life. Keeping data secure is more important and that much difficult nowadays. Lack of security may result into leak of information, crime, privacy leak, etc. Internet brings whole world together, but at the same time it can cause destruction in a society or an individual life. So it is much important in today's world to make stronger, non-breakable access policies which provide rights to the user for accessing resources. So, what is access control and why do we need it? Access control is a security technique that regulates who can view or use what resources in a computing environment. It is fundamental concept in security that minimize risks to the business or organization. Computer systems use access control policies to allocate resources to the user. General mechanism of access control. There are few terminology which are discussed in the paper and needs to be understood. They are objects and subject. The objects are the computer resources such as memory, printer, network interface, etc. And the subjects are the user who use such resources. The access of each object are protected by means of access rights. The access control provide a reference monitor for that. The subject may not be authorized to access each object, and also not all type of access to the object is provided by ACL to the user. Access control matrix. What is access control matrix? It is a data structure used to store access rights of each user on an object. Who can access what? This kind of information is extracted and stored in a data structure called ACM, that is access control matrix. User subject groups are represented as rows while the resources are represented as columns. ACM U, define what access right user U has for an object O. The table shown consists of a user 1, user 2 and an admin. They have different access on a file. User 1 has read write owner access, while user 2 has only read access, while admin has no access on file. Access control list. What is access control list? ACL is the list of permission attached to an object. ACL specifies which user or system process are granted access to an object as well as what operations are allowed on a given object. The management of right based on individual entities can be difficult. Therefore, the user associate into groups and the user access right are derived from the access right groups. File 1 has access of Tom and Ross. All, all are linked in a list form. Tom has read write operation access on file 1, while Ross has only read operation access on file 1. Similarly, all lists can be explained.
So next we will discuss different type of mandatory access control. The first one is BIBA integrative model. BIBA integrative model is a formal state of transition system of data security policies designed to express a set of access control rules. BIBA is designed so that a subject cannot corrupt data in a level ranked higher than the subject level and to restrict corruption of data at a lower level than the subject. The Bella-Padula model, compared with BIBA model, only addresses data configurability and not integrity. While many governments are primarily concerned with confidentiality, most business desire to ensure that the integrity of information is protected at the higher level. So the different features of it are: in general, prevention of data integrity has three goals. First, prevent data modification by unauthorized party. Second, prevent unauthorized data modification by authorized parties. Third, maintain internal and external consistency. Next is BIPA model has two primary rules: the simple integrity axiom and the star integrity axiom. First, simple integrity axiom, in which the simple rule is no read down. A subject at a specific clearance level cannot read the data at a lower level than it. This prevents subject from accessing information at a lower integrity level. The next, star integrity axiom. The simple rule is no write up. A subject at a specific clearance level cannot write data to a higher classification. This prevents subject from passing information up to a higher integrity level. This protects the integrity by preventing bad information from moving up to a higher level. As you can see in the diagram, the object can write only the higher integrity object but cannot read from it, and it only read from the lower integrity object. So the next is Bell La Padula model. It is probably the most famous security model that was developed in time of initial draft joint efforts secure multi-use operating system. It is a state machine model used for enforcing access control in government and military applications. Systems have to promote multi-level security policies. As you can see in the diagram, we have layer of higher security, layer of lower security, with three different properties like simple security property, star property, and strong star property that will be discussed in the next slide. The simple security property. The simple security property state that there is no read up, that is, a subject at a specific level cannot read an object at a higher classification. Second is star security property. The star security properties state that there is no write down, that is, a subject at a higher classification cannot write to a lower classification. Means subject who are logged into a top secret system cannot send email to a secret system lower than. The next one is the strong star property. It is an alternative to star property in which subject many write to object with only a matching security level, means that the same level. Thus, the write up operation permitted in the usual star property is not present, only to write to some operation. The next is Clark-Vinson model. It was created in 1987. It differs from previous model because it was developed with the intention to be used for commercial activities. The role of model integrity is to ensure consistency between the internal data and the external requirements for these dates. It uses the principle of separation of tasks, which says that he who commits a transaction and that which carried out to be different entities. Some terms associated with Clark-Vinson model include users, transformation procedures, UDI, that is unconstrained data item, constrained data items, integrative verification procedure. The terms that are included in it are considered as integrative verification procedures, that is IVPS, ensures that a data item is in a valid state. As you can see in the diagram of Clark-Vinson model, data cannot be tampered with while being changed and integrity of data must be consistent. Clark Winston is made up of transformation procedures, the TP, constrained data item CDI, are the data for which integrity must be preserved. Items not covered under the model are constrained data item.
In computer security, discretionary access control is a type of access control in which a user has complete control over all the programs it owns and executes. So there is a owner which determines the permission of other users who have those programs. Because DAC requires permission to be assigned, it is commonly known as need to know access model. Now, DAC restricts the accessibility to objects based on the identity of subjects to which they belong. Each request of a user to access an object is checked against the specified authorization in the access control matrix. If there exists an authorization, the access is granted, otherwise it is rejected. As the name implies, the controls are discretionary in the sense that a user can process given discretionary access to information is capable of passing that information along the another subject. Now, discretionary control access discretionary access control policies are very flexible and widely used in industry. However, they do not provide a high security assurance, which we'll see in the next slide. The vulnerabilities include firstly, a user who is able to read data can pass his read privileges to other users who are not authorized. Now, secondly, TSC policies are vulnerable to Trojan horses. As you know, the Trojan horse is a program that does one thing. So suppose a Trojan horse can be a game which you think is a game, but if from the back door it does something unusual, something like providing information to other parties, etc. Because program inherit the identity of the invoking users, the intruder can bypass the access control policy by giving the unauthorized user the Trojan horse program, which on surface performs the desirable function for that user, at the same time reads the contents of the user's files. Mandatory access control. Now we saw in DAC that it was prone to Trojan horses, so MAC policies are known to be defined to prevent the Trojan horse problem. Now what is MAC? MAC is the strictest of all levels of control. It begins with the security labels assigned to all the resources on the system. The security label basically contains two pieces of information. The first one is a classification, that is a top secret or confidential, and then a second one is a category, which is essentially a management level. Now, the important goal of MAC is to enforce the information flow policies to ensure confidentiality and integrity. To grant the accessibility, Max takes two-step approach as stated above. However, having authorization stored in the access control matrix is not sufficient to perform the operation. In addition, the operation must be authorized by MAC policy over which subjects have no control. Now, the example of MAC will be discussed in next slide. Example of mandatory access control. Suppose Alice has a top secret access control and Bob has a secret access control. Alice doesn't know how many people have top secret access control or secret access control. Therefore, it is not possible for Alice to grant access to Bob, the top secret, and Bob cannot accept the top secret, access the top secret since he has only access to secret. Now, in reality, both MAC and DAC work together. MAC is the strictest of all, but if DAC is stricter than in some cases, and then DAC will be applied. Role-based access control. In this, role is a function which governs which file you can access. So basically, files you access depends on which role you are in. We tell questions, what roles do I have in my system? And accordingly, we assign the roles resources they need. People in some role can read some file, and people can another role can read or write another file. For example, you might be, for example, a school system wherein a librarian can access some files and there are other resources which are allotted to them. A student can access, for example, ESE stuffs and all, and the resources allotted are different, and similarly for staffs and all.
So the next is security policy. Characterize and description which shall be protected and how, with the ultimate aim is to specify deliberately intended protection resources from unauthorized use and misuse. Objective of Organization of Information Security: responsibility, resources, timetable. Principle of Information, Property and Personal Security Coordination. Next is list of rules and regulation and authorization. Methods and means of information protection for the personal, physical, and organizational level. Organizational security policies, which includes a set of rules and guidelines that regulate the process for management of the organization. So, we ended with the conclusion. In this paper, we presented access control model such as access control matrix, DAC model, mandatory access control model, and other models. In this way, access control seeks to prevent activity that could lead to a breach of security. And we discuss of access control policy characterize and describe what should be protected. Thank you.